Hi, welcome back to video. Let's not name it. Let's not number the videos because I don't know what order I'm gonna actually upload these in. But yeah, welcome back. I am Xenos. It's good to see you again. I hope you're all doing well. These videos and this time of recording is during COVID-19 and the quarantine and this pandemic, and I hope everyone's okay. Just quick thought that came to me. Yeah. So today I'm gonna relax a little bit. Lean back. I can't lean back. I'll fall. So a couple of the poems I'm going to explore today are called Tempest, Devotion, or it's called A Ghost of Devotion, and My Garden of Eden. Um, so yeah, that's always a great way to start. These poems are poems that I wrote in a class I took for poetry with my wonderful professor. Her name was Professor Madison. I forgot to shout out my previous professor, Professor Holt, for the other poems I was doing in the first video, or whatever video it is. It's the one with the packet of love poems. Professor Holt was giving me a lot of criticism and advice to help me write those, especially with details. So yeah, I'm really grateful to the poets, the professors, the people, everyone who's helped me grow as a writer, to the people I've fallen in love with and fallen out, and you've given me inspiration, to the strangers in the streets who inspire stories. Thank you. Without your ever hand of guidance, I don't know where I would be as a poet. Maybe I'd still be here. Maybe I wouldn't. White may not be a good color. That is super bright. Didn't notice that till now. Well, here we are. But yeah, as you can tell, I go off on tangents. Thank you to everyone who's helped me a bunch. To my friend Dantes, who you should check out their YouTube channel. Who was kind of like, you should make a YouTube channel, you should do it. They've been a great friend to me and been a huge influence in helping me kind of get out there. They've helped me not be my little shy, closed self where I'm like, I'm just gonna keep writing in the dark of my room or in the middle of the park by myself and just act like everything's okay. And not do the things I want to do. Sometimes it helps someone. Sometimes you need someone's help to break out of your cage. And yeah, that's that. Can't think of anything else to say. I don't know what else. I was thinking about uploading a couple videos talking about workshop ideas and things you can do if you're looking to write poetry, and maybe help people who want to help write poetry. So if I got feedback on that, that'd be great to see. Is maybe some people's like, you should do this and this, just to know, that'd be really helpful. But yeah, if you're thinking about if you want to submit, I don't know, comment. I don't really know how YouTube works exactly. I know how comments work. So if you want to just comment and put your poetic pieces, or whatever, if you want to chat, I'll do my best to respond to you. I'm not going to be like, oh no, I'm too good for that. I'm awful at communication though, just a heads up. I'm really bad at responding to the people in my life in messages or Snapchat, whatever. Really bad at that. But anyways, we've been going off on a tangent for like 4 minutes. Let's just get into the poems, yeah? This piece is called Tempest. I, Tempest, the restless and relentless, a storm approaching the shore. I will carve a path forward. The storm's wrath is a buried rage. Hear my roaring waves. Unmask and unchain. Drowned sorrows still remain. As rain subsides, unveiling the violet sky, winds whisper once more and die, leaving behind the violent silence that comes after the storm. Impart the gift of catharsis. May the destruction I cause begin a new age, where hope is not lost. I, Tempest, harbinger of change. So yeah, I had a little awkward stumble. I have awkward stumbles during these readings, so I'm reading them off a computer screen because, respect to the poets that can, like, memorize all their poems. I write, and then, like, I think once I write a poem, it's, like, evaporated out of my existence. Like, I know it's there, but it's, like, I can only remember a phrase or two out of them. Complete respect to poets who memorize, like, these, like, 60, 70, 80 line poems. I'm like, you know what? Good on you. I was in theater for a little bit. I used to be able to memorize it. I'm sure if I sat there every day, read the poem for like an hour, like I did with my scripts, I'd probably memorize them, which is to say that basically I'm probably a lazy poet and I'm not memorizing my poems. We'll probably grow. We'll probably do that more later on. I just kind of wanted to get things started. Sorry for the awkward computer screen that's been here. Ooh, man. Sorry about this. Yeah. But really, respect to those poets who can memorize it. But let me hop into the next poem, yeah? Yeah, pull it up, Ja. We are going to read My Garden of Eden. I guess I should explain Tempest before I go. Tempest is a poem I wrote that I'm still writing different versions of. But I wrote Tempest at a time in my life, and maybe I still feel this part of my life is still very accurate, but I felt like there's a storm within me, and I am this sort of storm-like person. A lot of my poems are based off of my experiences, or based in a narrative of something I went through or some sort. But yeah, I mean, I guess, Tempest is pretty near and dear, so I can kind of explain it. I wrote it as a very personal poem. I wrote it kind of thinking like, if my poems or anything I do causes a change in you and helps you feel alive, or gives you hope, or maybe, I don't know, makes some sort of change in you, I hope that it is this change for good, for growth. Whether that be discarding the negative, the negative things that happened yesterday, or breaking from the chains of your bad relationships, or just sort of like realizing what you want to do, or feeling free. I mean, I hope that these pieces, these works, my voice, whatever it is, my thoughts, whatever it is that maybe causes it for you, or if it doesn't, I'm sorry. If you just like hearing the poems, thanks. I appreciate that. Because not every poem has to give you an emotional change. Even though it's my goal, it doesn't have to do it. I've heard people be like, your poem's pretty. And I'm like, thank you. That's nice to hear, because it is. I mean, I appreciate every compliment. I am so, like, oh, you think that of my poem? Thank you. Thank you so much, kind sir. You're kind ma'am. Like, I'm so unbelievably grateful for everything. It means a lot, yeah. But anyways, tangents, am I right? This is My Garden of Eden. She is the first sunny day of summer, the first sprouts of spring. She is the first leaves to fall in autumn, the first flowers to wither in winter. In her lies all of the seasons, and within her I found my Garden of Eden. When it's summer, she is the warmest lover. Harsh on the skin, she burns with her passionate kiss. She radiates energy, creating a world of serenity. But she is quite stormy as well, raining for days, letting her lightning rage. She leaves floods in her wake, a creator of catastrophes when she's in pain. However, she shines the next morning, even when others are still in mourning. In summer, she's a gift and a warning. Autumn comes, and so dwindles the light in her sun. When the leaves fall from the trees, it is she who weeps. Autumn is the season where she is quite eerie. Perhaps it's just her being weary. For summer takes its toll, and she grows just a little cold. It is a season of mystery, and so is she. secret keys to doors buried under leaves. She follows the moon through night, engaged in a perilous flight. There are those who wish to steal her light, and finding success in their strife, it has become winter, and she has lost all signs of life. She is barren and cold, a tree whose leaves have left her alone. She's been frozen in her abandoned home, each day being buried underneath new snow. And so, she retreats to the cave, unable to bear the weight of the cold another day. Though she tries her best, she can't find it in her to be brave, and in the darkness she finds a place to let herself hibernate till better days. And that's when it begins to rain. It pours from within her. The snow begins to melt, erasing the traces of her frozen self. She emerges from the cave, gathering all her strength. She begins to break the ice and replant all the lost life. For it is spring, and she's going to be free. She returns the color to the trees, blows in the air they need, and she feels a sense of ease. And as she feels the sun, she falls to her knees. For when she was frozen, feeling the sun became a distant dream. She is summer, she is autumn, she is winter, and she is spring. She is all of the seasons and everything in between. And that's my Garden of Eden. That used to be a poem. Well, it is still a poem I like. I think it needs work now. But when I first wrote it, I was like, this is perfect, this is beautiful. And now I'm like, oh my God, this needs work. What are these metaphors? What is this line? Like, well, this doesn't make sense. This doesn't go with this. And that might be me just being a harsh critic of myself. And I like to go back and rework poems and recreate them sometimes, just to see what I can get out of it, you know? You should always keep your original. If you're ever thinking about making or rewriting or recreating a poem, by all means, make sure you keep the original draft, and just call it like Tempest 1 or Tempest 2 or Tempest 3 or Tempest draft number 1. I don't know. I just number everything. But I really highly recommend you do that because sometimes you change a poem a bunch and you're like, you know what? The original is fine. Like, I am perfectly okay with the original. But we're going to read the last poem for this video. And this is kind of one of the poems that I'm like, this is more or less, right now, one of my favorite pieces I've written. As a solo piece of poetry. I'm kind of thinking about creating a set with it. But it is by far one of my favorite poems I've written. And it's called A Ghost of Devotion. I've been living in a garden, gentle grass and wicked weeds. I delicately tore the earth from itself. Lovingly I planted my seeds. They grow carelessly, breaking from the earth, desperately reaching for the stars. Their roots grow deeper into the dirt. I planted oak saplings. They too dreamed of the sea of stars they would never sail. Amaranth and elderflower. When spring came, hyacinth grew beneath the oak trees. Midnight roses blossomed. Stargazing lilies filled the field. A visitor you were, a fellow gardener. You offered me your seeds. I watched as they grew, slowly suffocating my children. Poison ivy meant to kill me. I ripped out the weeds, unable to kill them, my home overrun. As weeds blocked out the stars and sun, I waited for you to return, praying to be rid of this curse. I watched as they withered, wilted, and faded away. A ghost of the garden, I searched for a sign of life, a seed who may have survived. I found you, Iris, last of your kind. Determined and yet fragile, I drowned you in my tears. I placed you in a pot, struck a match, tossed it into the garden, and watched as the weeds caught flame. The graveyard garden perished, regretful that I could not sleep with the flames. Iris, I will take you to the sea of stars, to sun and space, an everlasting garden, our resting place. So that's A Ghost of Devotion, and I really, really like that poem. I wrote this, did it again. I wrote this for an assignment in class a good semester ago, and I completely misunderstood the assignment. I thought we had to create a whole new type of poem, like, you know, how there's like, oh gosh, the sonnets and, all those type of poems. I thought we had to create a whole new form of poetry, and I was like, huh. So this is essentially something that I worked on, and it's called inverse narrative. And it's more or less you can read the poem backwards, and it kind of tells the same story, but also tells it differently. So I'm gonna read it backwards too. Our resting place, an everlasting garden, to sun and space. I will take you to the sea of stars, Iris. Could not sleep at the flames, regretful that the graveyard garden perished. Watched as weeds caught flame, tossed it into the garden, struck a match. Oh wait, I don't have this right. Oh wait, hold on. We'll do that for another time. We'll save it for another time. The version I have on this computer isn't the version I have where it's supposed to be done right. So, till next time for that. I was like, this doesn't sound right. Yeah, this sounds a little off. But yeah, Ghost of Devotion is my favorite poem I've written. In case you can't tell, these videos are more or less free form. I'm not gonna like edit out mistakes or anything. I think, why, we're human. Like, if I was perfect, I think this would be like boring. Maybe it is boring, but I don't want to be perfect. I just want to be me. My poems I try to make perfect, but even they don't have to be perfect. No, there's no need for perfection. I think working hard and mistakes is pretty important. But yeah, this video is it's a pretty long video. These poems are a little longer. But my name is Xenos, and if you liked what you heard, what you saw, I mean, you didn't see much, you can see the beautiful art room, which is where I record. Thank you for watching and listening, and please keep watching. I mean, I really hope this is something that doesn't have to take off per se, but I hope it's something that helps people. For me, it's just something I've been wanting to do for a long time, and I'll probably keep doing it, regardless if I get subscribers or I get views. I think it's just something I've wanted to do, somewhere to empty out the orchestra of thoughts and poems I have, and I just kind of want to put it out in the world. And if it does something good, then it does something good, and for me, that's enough. I don't even really need praise, I think, or anything like that. I don't even think I need compliments. Like, if you cherish my poems in private, do it. They are for me and for you. I created them for you to feel something or maybe enjoy, and I created them because I felt something. And I'm gonna do another video where I talk. It's gonna be a free form of no poetry, probably maybe one poem, but I'm gonna do another video where I just talk about my writing process and a little bit more about who I am. So yeah, I'm gonna end the video. Thank you.